Hello everyone and welcome to the program Midday Discourse on Global Television. I am Samuel Lodi. Many thanks for joining us, and as we extray today's talking point, we'll be analyzing socio-political progress. We'll be looking at it from the line of the speech of October 1st by Mr. President, where he says his administration is doing all it can to be able to see to the economic reform, talking about socio-political progress, infrastructure, and every other sector. And then the president also boasts of the fact that they have been able to pay debts that has been owed up to 63%. But still, on the other side, this current administration within the space of 1 year has borrowed much more than the previous administration borrowed in 4 years. So all of this angles now is what we are going to be looking at on today's edition of the program, and I have a guest who will be joining me all the way from Ibadan, who will be joining virtually as we extray most of this talking point. But looking at it now, Nigeria at 64, how well can you say Nigeria is doing, or how well can you say this current administration is doing, given the fact that they've almost been in office for 24 months? Now there's a whole lot of issues going on. A few states in Nigeria, protesters going on, and the president deemed it fit to take his 2 weeks vacation at this dire time when a whole lot of persons are crying for removal or for the ease of subsidy, as well as crying for good governance, and as well as also calling for a reform of the judicial system, reform of the constitution. A whole lot is going on in the country, and then the president deemed this fit to go on his vacation now. So now, people are asking questions. Does the president really care so much about what's happening? In the Northeast, they have the insecurity issue, kidnapping and the rest, and of recent, massive flooding. Talking about the southern part, Southeast, they have their own challenges roving around, and the president decided to go on a 2 weeks leave now. So we'll be looking at those angles and ways that would be able to see for the economic reform to happen, and as well as infrastructure, social, political progress, and every other angle. We'll be going on a quick break, and then when we come back, I'll be introducing my guest who will help us extray all of these angles of today's conversation. Please do stay with us. I'll be right back. Many thanks for staying with us, and if you're just joining, this is Midday Discuss, and we're about to extray the angles of our conversation, the major talking points, which is analyzing the socio-political progress. We'll be focusing more around the speech of Mr. President and his economic reform plans, infrastructural plans, and social development plans as well. Joining me all the way from Ibadan, Dr. Oyebade Oyedepo. Good afternoon, sir. Hello, good afternoon, if you can hear me. So let's dive into it, Dr. Oyebade. I would say, before we dive into it, I would say Happy Independence Day to you, and hope everybody's back fine in Ibadan. Let's get into the conversation. Looking at economic reform now, how well do you think the removal of subsidy have impacted Nigerian citizens? It seems we're having a little bit of technical issues. We'll try another avenue to be able to have this conversation. Please do stay with us. We'll be right back.
Time check. It's midday. Then it's Midday Discourse. Midday Discourse is a program that covers trending local and international news, current issues, and human-related topics. Join Samuel Odi weekdays 1 p.m. on Global Television. The discussion starts here. Time check. It's midday. Then it's Midday Discourse. Midday Discourse is a program that covers trending local and international news, current issues, and human-related topics. Join Samuel Odi weekdays 1 p.m. on Global Television. The discussion starts here. Time check. It's midday. Then it's Midday Discourse. Midday Discourse is a program that covers trending local and international news, current issues, and human-related topics. Join Samuel Odi weekdays 1 p.m. on Global Television. The discussion starts here.
Yes, many thanks for staying with us. We had to resolve the quick technical challenge, but everything is good now, and we are about to have the conversation. Dr. Oyebode, can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. I say happy independence to you also.
Yes, so let's get into the conversation since we are analyzing social political progress, right? Let's major more on the speech of Mr. President and how his plans to resolve the economic reforms that he's talking about. But now let's just get into this conversation. How will the removal of fuel subsidy has been a major challenge now? How has this subsidized and then impacted the average Nigerian citizen? And what measures will be taken to mitigate the potential hardship or the hardship that we are facing already? So how can it be mitigated so as it will be cushioned and Nigerians will begin to enjoy the benefit of having President Bola Ahmed Tinubu as its number one citizen?
First and foremost, let me talk about the issue of the president's speech.
Okay.
The speech fell short of the expectation of Nigerians. Nigerians were expecting a better speech than what Mr. President gave us. In his speech, he alluded to the fact that we have several problems befalling us as a nation. He mentioned the fact that we have insecurity. He mentioned the fact that we have high cost of living. He mentioned the fact that there is unemployment. But surprisingly, he gave us confirmation that the policies introduced by his government are working. Policies will address the several problems we are having as a nation. And he emphasized the fact that the policies are already working. Personally, as an individual, as a public affairs analyst and as a chartered accountant, I felt the policies he has introduced have not been working. If they had been working, it will have addressed some of the many problems we are having as a nation. The policies are not working. I think Mr. President got it right from day one when he announced the removal of the subsidy. Suddenly, without corresponding, without preparation for it. There is no way by which you remove the subsidy with infrastructural deficit we are having as a nation. You need to fill the infrastructural deficit before the removal of subsidy will come. So there has not been any proactive measure to fix the infrastructural deficit before the sudden announcement of the removal. And it created a lot of problems for us as a nation. And that's why you can see the high cost of living. The standard of the living of people are falling. And you have continuous devaluation of the currency. Unfortunately, the policies turned out by this administration to redress the situation has not worked. For instance, they keep on increasing the interest rate on daily basis. Things are not done that way. You want to combat inflation and you are increasing interest rate. By the time you increase interest rate, what you are saying indirectly is that the cost of production should increase. And when cost of production increases, it is going to come out in form of increase in the prices at which those products will be sold. So you are not encouraging individuals, neither are you encouraging businesses to thrive. So the policies have not been working. And that's why we feel that Mr. President should rejig some of those policies and address it frontally. It is not, Mr. President should not focus on rhetoric again. It has been rhetoric. We have decimated Boko Haram. We have decimated this and that. We have created so number of jobs, which has not translated to anything in the country. So, Mr. President should rejig his policies to address the situation frontally. I'll take the issue of the petroleum products. Before Mr. President took over the administration of this country, petrol was sold for just a little bit above 200. Now he's selling for about 1,000 plus. And the income of people are not increasing. How do you now want them to survive? Nigerians are barely surviving. There is hunger in the land. So, I wonder how a family of four, can cope with 100,000 in this country, and how many people are even earning that 100,000. And that's why you see, millions of Nigeria moving out of the country, to seek greener pasture elsewhere. The youth are not encouraged. People that have finished university don't have anything doing. So government must brace up and address some of these problems. Otherwise, we will continue to have insecurity. You want to fly from Ibadan to Abuja, you spend about 300,000, 400,000. How many people can afford that? And there is insecurity on the road. So a lot of people want to now fly to Abuja. How many people can afford it? Except you are working in blue chip companies or companies that can really afford it. How many individuals can do it? So Mr. President will focus on administration. In the speech, he said there is going to be 30 days of comfort for the youth. Why? They still want to spend humongous of amount of money on that. What category of youth are you inviting to that comfort? Are they the unemployed, or those employed? Are they artisan, or what? They should focus on administration. They should focus on providing a enabling environment for businesses to thrive and people to thrive than having comfort here and there that is not going to produce anything. Youth have already expressed their disgust about the administration. They have heard the youth loud and clear while organizing comfort begin for them. It is not going to work. See the issue of agriculture. Mr. President emphasized the fact that the government has been giving tractors, fertilizers to farmers in order to have mechanized farming. That has been rhetoric. It has been done year in, year out. Has it produced any meaningful result? I say the answer is capital no. The need is capital. The Central Bank of Nigeria to turn off policies that will encourage them to be able to access from commercial bank at rock bottom rate, 2% at max 5%. When that is done, provide security, provide light, provide road, and encourage them, give them moratorium of about 10 years to start repaying the loan gotten from the bank, and you see things will turn out positively. But giving them, fertilizers will not redress the problem. And many of them are even getting the fertilizers. Most of those fertilizers are getting to wrong hands. We can't be doing the same thing. I expect a better result. So if the previous administration has done it and it has not worked, it should tell you that if you do it 10 times, it will not work. So, Mr. President, you understand that Nigerians are not happy. Nigerians are living from hand to mouth. You see people queuing. Even if you want to buy fuel at 1,000 naira, people are queuing to get it. So, the valuable time they should use in their offices are used, queuing to buy fuel. Things are not that way. Okay. Mr. President promised us to be new hope. So, and he should deliver results.
Yeah, Dr. Oyebade, you made mention of administration, and Mr. President has said he's going to reform his cabinet generally, and this has been said in the month of July. Sometimes they said it was going to be done in the month on the July 12th. Later on it was said to happen in the month of August. Now it was fast forwarded to the fact that it was going to happen in the month of September. Now a whole lot of persons said it was going to happen on the 1st of October. Looking at all these conversations, Mr. President still in his speech made mention of the same administration and then his cabinet, and saying the reform and then the shuffle can be done at any given time. Looking at the fact that now Mr. President is not in the country and then he has traveled for his 2 weeks vacation, do you think, despite everything happening in some states, I'm not totally certain about Ibadan if the fearless protest is happening, but it's happening in Lagos and other parts of the country. Do you think, despite everything going on, this is the right time for Mr. President to take his vacation?
this is not the right time. The house is burning. He shouldn't have traveled. And the continuous assurance that is going to tinker with the cabinet, to me, is political. If you want to do it, why announcing it to us separately? Why reiterating it? Why emphasizing it? Do it if you want to do it for the benefit of your administration and for you to have a good legacy for us in this country. He must leave a good legacy. After all, he promised us good governance, and he said we should not pity him. So he should deliver, tinker with it for the benefit of Mr. President and for the benefit of the nation, Nigeria. There are some of the ministers, that are not performing anything now. It may be as a result of the fact that the policies, given by Mr. President, the direction of Mr. President is faulty. I may not blame them hook, line, and sinker, but he knows some of the ministers that are performing and the ones that are not performing. He should do away with politics, and he did his cabinet. There are some ministers that are performing. For instance, the minister of FCC is performing. He's even blind. He's clear to the blind. The minister of Interior is performing. He has brought in some innovations which has eased, the ways and means of people getting passports. You have the minister of Works doing wonderfully well. There are a handful of some of them that are doing very well. Whereas there are some that you cannot even hear their name. If you mention the ministry, there are some you don't even know their ministers and minister of state. And Mr. President, you also reduce cost of governance. If you are saying that we should tighten our belt, it should start from the leadership. Mr. President should lead by example. If you are sick, come to UCH here to come and access healthcare delivery and services. So it should start from above. See, the legislators spending about 160 million each to procure vehicles. That is insensitivity. And that's why I said government have not lived by example. Reduce cost of governance to a BRS minimum. This is the most unwieldy cabinet we have since the independence of Nigeria. We have about 48 ministers. What are they doing with it? And each of those ministers will have their retinue of officers. How do you reduce cost of governance like that? And you said members of the public should tighten their beds. We have a savings as a result of the fact that we have removed subsidy. Rather than us seeing infrastructural development, we are seeing the money going out in form of cost of governance. This shouldn't be done that way. And you now see the government giving palliatives to people. How many palliatives will redress the situation? Provide infrastructures, provide a enabling environment for people to thrive. Forget about all these palliatives. Even those palliatives are being, used to siphon the resources of the nation. And that's why I said Mr. President should even sit down on his own, appraise his own performance, even the performance of the ministers. Some of the, like I said, some of the ministers are not performing, but Mr. President has also lived up to expectation. He needs to brace up to be able to deliver results.
Let's look at accountability of the whole administration and the way approaches have been. Talking about the assessments, Mr. President spoke about KPI for all ministers, everybody in his cabinet. Do you think when these KPIs are being reviewed, do you think a handful of these ministers would be, sent packing?
Not a handful. A whole lot of them will be sent packing. I've just mentioned about 3 or 4. There can be more than about 8 that are performing presently. We can see that the Minister of Aviation is also performing. Vestor Kayamo. We can see some of the airlines that have left Nigeria are returning back. You can see that even the aviation industry is bringing a new leaf. So, we have a handful of them performing, but the vast majority of them are not performing. Like I said, if you mention the names of the people, some of them, so many Nigerians will not even know them because they have not been performing. Mr. President should draw up the KPI, measure their performance. But we, some of us that are, analyzing the economy, feel that some of them should go. Only a handful of them should remain.
Let's talk about this new ministry that was created, Ministry of Livestock. Do you think, what's your reaction to that ministry? Do you think there is a need for a new ministry like that to be created, or it should be a subsidiary under the Ministry of Agriculture?
Fantastic. A subsidiary under Ministry of Agriculture. And that's why I said Mr. President is increasing cost of governance rather than tuning it down drastically. Why do you have Ministry of Livestock when you have Ministry of Agriculture? What are they doing? Enlarge it and everything, put every necessary people you want to, experts you want to bring into the system, rather than creating another ministry. The other time Mr. President said he wants to, he was thinking about implementing Urusaya report.
Yes.
Urusaya report talked about merging some of the ministries. He has talked about merging some of the ministries. Now he's creating another other ministries. How can you be doing things like that? You have talked about reducing cost of governance. And then indirectly, you are increasing cost of governance as well. And that's why we will find out that ever since he came in, Nigeria has been borrowing almost on monthly basis. Why? The expenditure keeps increasing, in spite of the fact that we are having fuel subsidy removal, which will have served as an advantage for us. It is not beneficial to us. It is not serving any advantage because the money is going out in form of expenditure as well. If you want to fix a system financially, economically, increase, show up your revenue and reduce your expenditure. So don't show up the revenue and increase the expenditure. The moment you are doing that, there won't be any surplus for you at the end of the day to do anything meaningful, to even have it in form of reserve. So Mr. President should trim, collapse some of the ministries, rather than setting up new ministries, which will keep increasing the cost of governance.
Well, talking about loans now, this current administration has borrowed much more than the previous administration did, though under the same party. But and the president in his speech also made mention of, paying off of those loans up to 63%. Do you agree with that statement?
Well, I know the DMO, Debt Management Office, will know how much loan we have taken in the past and how much has been paid out of it. I may not say that they have not been paying some of the loans. They may have been paying some of the loans, no doubt about that. But the loan they are also taking has been more than what they have paid so far. Mr. President has always applied to National Assembly, for approval to access external loans at the expense of the country, at the expense of the economy. So, Mr. President should focus on payment of those loans and not take new loans, except you want to use it to fix infrastructural facilities or infrastructural deficit, which will repay those loans. For instance, if Mr. President decides to apply for new loans today to fix the refineries, I will clap for him, because I know the moment the refineries are fixed, cost of production will reduce and the price at which those products will be sold will come down drastically. If they can borrow to fix that kind of infrastructural deficit, why not? If they can access loan to fix power, why not? If they can access loan to fix insecurity once and for all, Why not? And since the problems creating insecurity, one of the problems facing insecurity is unemployment. Another is lack of education. Why not fix it? If you want to borrow money, borrow it to fix infrastructure deficit. And at the end of the day, manage the system in such a way that there won't be corruption, you know, to be able to take advantage to load the benefits we are going to derive from it. Because if you take loan to fix refinery and you have corruption in the system, it will negate the benefits of it. I'm not against loan, but I'm against the fact that they are borrowing and we are not seeing the benefits of those borrowing. Things are difficult in this country. You know, there is no even people in the average category again. It is either you are rich or you are excessively poor. No more middle class. You know, because of the fact that there is inflation, high cost of goods and services. And like I said in my opening remark, people are barely surviving in this country. They are barely surviving in this country. You know, I believe there is hope. At the end of the day, we are all praying for hope, but Mr. President, you brace up for us, for those hope to manifest. Otherwise, we are going nowhere as a country.
Yeah, let's look at insecurity challenges. Now, for over a decade, Boko Haram has obviously, terrorized the northeast. If you're looking at Kaduna now, we have bandits and kidnappers going to Benue State. Now, the Middle Belt area, we have issues with Fulani herdsmen. Going out down to the east, we also have challenges around unknown gunmen. And then looking at the massive impact of the raining season this period, a whole lot of farmers have not been able to go to farms due to these numerous challenges that I mentioned facing these regions in the country. That being said, how key is it going to be for this current administration to tackle security challenges in the country? And again, how key is it going to be that we have reserved so as the nation wouldn't go into starvation in the coming years? Looking at the angles now of flood, taking over most of the produce that a few farmers actually got from this season.
Well, government, by government, year in, year out, have been paying lip service to insecurity in this country. And that's why we have not ended it. And I believe that some people are even living fat on it. And you see, each of them have been telling us that Boko Haram have been decimated. We have eliminated 300, 3,000, this and that. Yet, you can see insecurity pervading in the country. In the speech of Mr. President, he mentioned the fact that they have wiped out maybe 300 of the 3,000, Boko Haram leaders, and so on and so forth, and celebrating it. The same thing during President Muhammad Buhari, they celebrated the fact that they have eliminated most of them, and that we only have handful of the occurrences of insecurity in the land. I beg to disagree. We still have insecurity not only in the northeast, not only in the northwest, all over the country. How many people can drive their cars, for an 100 kilometers radius, and do it with a peace of mind? You are going now, you are going with apprehension because you don't know what will happen on the way. There is insecurity in the land. Government should face it. And one of the objectives of governance is provision of security. To guarantee safety of people, life and livestock and everything. In the present situation, there is no security in the land, and that's why food production is hampered. People cannot go to their farm not only in the northwest, but all over the country. Government at all levels should brace up, fix the insecurity once and for all. Fix it once and for all. If they need hardware, if they need equipment, if they need logistics, if they need what do I call it? The software and everything, equipment necessary, government should provide it in such a way that these people will be disseminated once and for all. We shouldn't pay lip service to it. They shouldn't try to score political points, assuring us that insecurity has been fixed in this country. No, we still have insecurity. It has not been fixed. And that's one of the reasons why the cost of goods and services are rising. Because people are not able to go to their farms. How do you expect the farmer to go to the farm? And next thing that will be done is that person, will be taken away by bandits, and they will not be asking for ransom to be paid by their families. People are paying ransom for them to take back their relatives. And in some of the processes, in some of the situations, those people that are carted away by the bandits, died in the process. How do you reconcile that? You want to go to farm to be able to produce goods and services and make a living, and also contribute your quota to the development of that, and in the process, somebody's life is lost. How do you reconcile that? They shouldn't pay lip service to insecurity or security, as the case may be. Combat it once and for all. By now, they should know the reasons why insecurity still festers in the land. Like I said, some may be one of the reasons may be as a result of the fact that we don't have jobs. Even graduates don't have anything doing. People with skills don't have anything doing, and there is lack of education, particularly in the northern part of the country. You see, people going in droves, thousands, roaming about the streets, begging for alms, whereas government is not doing anything about it. Is it as a result of culture? If it is as a result of culture, address it. Is it as a result of the fact that they don't have the means to access this education? Fix it, provide for it. Several years ago, during the time of Awolowo and the rest, they provided free education. There was even a period that they said free education was compulsory in the southwest. Whether you like it or not, your children will be in school. If they are not in school, the parents will be accosted. Making it compulsory for education for these children to go to school. People who cannot go to school must have skill one way or the other. But if you have several thousand going along the street, begging for alms, at the end of the day, what do you expect them to do? They talk to armed robbers, they talk to Boko Haram. So why don't you address the problems? Giving rise to insecurity in the land. And that's why I say government is just paying lip service to it. Maybe because they want to use them, for political reasons, and that's why they have not addressed it. And what you find out that is they even encourage people to have new wives, 3 wives, 4 wives, and so on and so forth, so that they will be giving back to people they are not training because of political consideration, because they want to have a mileage over others during elections. And that's why I say they are paying this service to it. Address some of the root cause of it once and for all. By the time you now wipe out some people, then they, at the end of the day, you find out that the problem will be fixed. You will find out that even some of them that are arrested, taken for trial, and at the end of the day, what you see, you say that there is a jailbreak, and you can't find them again. Or they use them for negotiation. We take people for ransom, or where there is insecurity somewhere, and they take some people hostage and do not ask them for a swap. So what are you doing indirectly? Are you fighting insecurity like that? You are not fighting. So what government should do is that they should fight insecurity headlong. Enough of assuring us that they have decimated this and they have decimated that, whereas we are not seeing anything justifying it.
Doctor, you made mention of deficits being paid on a monthly basis from the previous administration down to this administration. How can we ensure transparency and accountability of this government and the assurance? How can we measure the assurance that these monies that they say are being paid for security deficit is actually being paid, given the fact that we are not seeing results in terms of having peace and quiet around the urban areas, and Nigerians can't travel freely again by road due to all of these insecurity challenges? How can we measure transparency now and accountability again?
One thing I want to advise government, one thing I want to do is to build institutions, not individuals.
Mm-hmm.
They should strengthen the arm of the government, particularly EFCC, ICPC, and all other anti-corruption agencies. Strengthen them. Make sure they are unbiased. And if they are doing their job, don't frustrate them. Make sure that somebody is above the law of the land. If somebody is caught perpetrating criminal activities or corruption, ensure the person faces the law squarely. A situation where some people are above the law, you cannot arrest them the way you are arresting others. You are already saying people should be corrupt, or because some people have political affiliation with you, or they are friends of the system, they are above the law. You are not building institution. Build institution in such a way that when you are no longer there, or people who are there, have the conscience of God, people who are ready to do it, people who are upright are there. It is not only when they are there that the system should work. Make everything seamless. Build the institution, and ensure that each of the ministries, agencies of government, all the MDAs are also accountable. How many of the ministries, departments, and agencies of the government are auditing their accounts? And compel it, make it compelling for all ministries' account to be audited by external auditors. And also the government accounts will also be audited by external auditors. And they shouldn't be audited far, in arrears. Account of 2023 should be done in 2024. Publicize it. But when your accounts are not audited, maybe they are only audited internally, and those people that are doing the internal auditing, are within the mercy of the government. They may not do the right thing. They may not expose them if they are doing something illicit. So strengthen the system in such a way that there is going to be external auditing of the accounts of the government, federal government, state governments, and the local governments, and make it transparent. Publicize it for people to contribute. So by the time you are doing all those, there is going to be you will reduce atrocities to a large extent. But if you continue to do it the way it has been done in the past, there is no way by which corruption will not continue to thrive in the land. So what Mr. President should do is do this newly. He is an accountant by training. He should ensure they have those transparency.
All right. Thank you so much.
And he will have his name in good.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Oyebade Oyedepo. This is how much time will permit us to take on today's edition. And we thank you for all your recommendations, and we're hoping that...
Thanks for having me.
All right, that's how much time will permit us to take. Just had a conversation with Dr. Oyebade Oyedepo, who is a public affairs analyst, and a lot of cues should be taken from our conversation, given the fact that auditing the federal account and making sure that the said amount that is being paid for security deficit is actually being looked into, so we could have enough peace and stability within the regions where are being faced majorly with high rates of insecurity. That's how much time will permit us to take. I am Samuel Odi. I'll see you again tomorrow as we explore other angles of the nation's conversations. Bye for now.